My next guest is Professor Jake Newman, whose work bridges artificial intelligence and healthcare. We're going to talk to him about some of the projects that he's been working on that really impact people and well-being. We'll talk a little bit about how data and deep learning are changing the face of the medical world. Hello and welcome to the AICON podcast, where we speak to higher education institutions from across the world to understand what's happening in the ever-changing world of education. Today, we're at the University of East Anglia. In fact, this background was also seen in the movie Avengers: Age of Ultron. We have some very interesting conversations lined up today. My name is Janhavi, and those conversations are brought to you by Java and Skoda. Professor Newman, thank you so much for being on set today with us.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Of course. So when I was looking at some of the work that you do, I noticed that you've worked on a variety of things. You've worked on things like AI, deep learning, stock market prediction. What got you started in this field?
Well, my PhD was in computer lip reading about 20 years ago. And at that time, everything I worked on was using traditional machine learning approaches. But as I moved to a new project involving a medical device called Carver, we quickly determined that actually deep learning and AI techniques are much better suited to complex problems like detecting signals from continuous eye movement data, such as recorded by the Carver device. So it was out of necessity, and it quickly turned into a passion when I realized how much innovation there is in this area.
And to talk a little bit about your project, Carver,
Yeah.
I believe it's to help with vertigo.
That's right. So patients who have vertigo get this very unpleasant spinning sensation, even though they are still. And the problem is, by the time they go and see their doctor, they're not usually feeling dizzy. Mm-hmm. So we developed a device that they can wear in the community, in their own home. If they have a dizzy attack, it would record that. And then when they go back to see their doctor, the doctor can review the data captured by the device, review the output of my algorithms which detect these periods of dizziness, and then provide a diagnosis to the patient, give them access to the correct treatment, hopefully make them feel better.
Right. How is that different from perhaps the traditional methods of helping people who have vertigo?
So before our device, you'd typically see 4.5 clinicians, probably round that up to 5. Quite difficult to see 4.5 people, but you'd see a number of clinicians, you'd have a number of tests. Some of them are quite unpleasant, so water in your ears, warm water or cool water that makes you feel very dizzy. A doctor might have several attempts at trying to provide a diagnosis before you get the correct diagnosis. So there's essentially a lot of time and dizziness that you have to put up with before you would actually get your diagnosis. The idea behind our device is you wear the device for 30 days, and at the end of it, a doctor should be able to tell you what's wrong with you and give you the correct treatment.
Mm-hmm. Got it. You've also worked on AI to help out with everyday activities, right? Can you talk a little bit about those projects as well?
Sure. So one thing we're looking to apply the Carver device to is classifying activities of daily living. The idea being that patients with neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's disease struggle to do things like dress themselves, prepare food, and so those kind of activities would be judged by a caregiver or by a clinician, and that's a very subjective process. So kind of just watching somebody and seeing how well you think they're getting dressed, for instance. We think we can use our device to objectively measure how well somebody is putting on clothes or preparing a meal. And those objective measures mean that we can more accurately describe somebody's ability to live independently. We can accurately look at the effect of treatments. So is somebody getting better? Is their ability to dress themselves improving? And it could potentially help with drug development as well. So if you have a drug trial and you give somebody the Carver device to wear while they're on a course of treatment, you can hopefully use our device to measure how well somebody is getting dressed at the start of their drug treatment compared to the end of their drug treatment. And then that can help you more quickly decide whether or not a drug is effective or not.
Got it. And I think some of your work would also require collaboration with, say, psychologists or doctors from other medical streams, right? What's that been like for you? And do you think that is important and for AI to also have a role over here in terms of, say, healthcare or helping patients or other ways where AI can actually pitch in?
So traditionally in psychology, a lot of the analysis that would be done manually. So it would be researchers looking through videos of babies interacting with objects or interacting with people and manually scoring where a baby is looking and how long they're looking for.
Yeah.
But we're able to actually use AI to do that automatically, which has the advantage of not only not requiring that manual effort, but also it's much more, it can be done very quickly, it can be done on larger scales, so you can process more data more quickly, and it's objective as well. So you've removed that bias of the subjective bias of getting different humans to look at data. You just let a machine do it objectively.
Got it. And are there any challenges? So for instance, when we look at AI, for medical data, right? Are there any challenges here that can be overcome?
So there are a number of challenges with using AI for medical data. The most obvious is the explainability of the decisions that come out of AI. So AI is often seen as a sort of black box that just you put some data in, you get a decision out, but actually clinicians and patients want to know the basis for those decisions. They don't just want to trust that the black box is doing the right thing. So making sure that we can actually explain the decisions that are made by AI are very important. The other thing is privacy as well. So if you are processing patient data, patients really don't want that data uploaded to the cloud.
Yeah.
If it's uploaded to the cloud, then it's more likely to be lost or misused. So there's kind of benefit from processing data locally on smaller devices. But then that introduces new challenges, processing challenges. You often need high-end GPUs and technology to run AI workflows, and that's not always possible on small local devices. So there's a difficult balance of patient privacy, efficiency, affordability, and explainability. There are lots of elements that are kind of active areas of research that need a lot of research focus.
Got it. And when we look at, for instance, the future of, say, medical or even human behavior research, right? Do you think AI is going to play a big role in changing the face of things now?
I think AI will become ubiquitous in all those areas, and probably areas that we can't even conceive of now. I think it's going to be revolutionary actually in a lot of sciences, and I think every scientist in every discipline is going to have to become an expert in AI if they want to keep at the forefront of their field.
Wow. And just any final words for people or any promising young scientists who are watching this video? Do you have any advice, mentorship, guidance that you would give to them?
I would say always keep asking questions, and I would say this because I'm a computer scientist, but learn to program. Learn to program, learn about neural networks and AI generally, and you'll always be employed and interested as well. Keep interested.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, Professor Newman. It's been lovely talking to you.
Thank you very much.
I've noticed that you have also collaborated with a lot of psychologists. How does that relate to your work in AI? So I'm just thinking about, for instance, if we talk about challenges, from your experience, what are some of the challenges when it comes to medical fields, for instance, using AI for medical data? Looking ahead, what do you think is the most exciting direction that AI will take perhaps medical or human behavior research to?